Welcome to the coolest stuff on the planet.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coolest Stuff on the Planet. And sitting across from me is Rachel. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good. Feel like another road trip?
Yes, I am so ready. You know, I'm always up for a road trip, Kathryn. Any day.
Route 66 was east to west. This one's north to south. We're going to take a drive along Highway 61. And this is another of those famous roads. This is about 1,400 miles long, and it goes between New Orleans and Wyoming, Minnesota. Follows the course of the Mississippi River. And actually, before 2004, it went even further. It went all the way up to Canada.
And this road was constructed a little bit later than Route 66. It was built in the 1930s. Mm-hmm. And as Kathryn said, it was a really important north-south connector in terms of roads in the United States. And this was before the interstate highway system.
A lot of African Americans who were doing the Great Migration North, this was a road that they also took. So it also had that promise of going from south to the north and what they thought was a better life. So we're going to start off in Minnesota, and actually we're going to look at the North Shore Road because that actually predated the Highway 61. This road was developed in the 1920s, and the original reason for that was for tourists who were trying to get to Lake Superior. This was a route that they could take. And then later on, when Highway 61 was actually constructed, this became part of it.
Oh, okay.
And and even today, you can drive along the North Shore Road. It's very scenic.
So there's even been a recent documentary on the Minnesota section of this highway, which is called Tales of the Road.
You know, there's a famous album, obviously everyone who was a Bob Dylan fan will know this one, Highway 61 Revisited, because he was in that area. And, you know, he just imagines all these fantastic things happening right along Highway 61.
Now we come to the famous southern part of the highway, which is called the Blues Highway.
Yeah.
And this runs between Memphis, Tennessee, and Mississippi, which is basically through the Mississippi Delta, and is also the home of the blues. We talked about Memphis being, you know, the first place where it was written down, but historically, the real origins of the blues in America come from the Mississippi Delta area.
Right.
So, like, this road was famous for bringing these bluesmen, you know, from the Delta up to the north.
Yeah, and, you know, the most famous part is the crossroads, as it were, is between Highway 61 and Highway 49, which is Clarksdale, Mississippi. This is supposedly the place where blues pioneer Robert Johnson met the devil, sold his soul in exchange for being able to play the blues like nobody's business.
But as you travel along this way, you're going to run into a lot of blues-related places and locations and history and stuff.
You know, another thing, as you leave Clarksdale and you head to Tunica, there's like a 30-mile stretch of Highway 61. And actually, that's the longest stretch of highway in the U.S., which has no curves, horizontal or vertical. It's completely flat.
So it's just a giant straightaway.
Just giant straightaway. And, you know, it's also famous for being the patch of highway where Bessie Smith, the blues singer, lost her life in a car accident in 1937.
And near there's a famous hospital too, right? The hospital where they took her, the Riverside.
Well, they turned it into, the hospital is close by, and they have turned that into a hotel called the Riverside Hotel. And a lot of famous blues musicians stayed there. You know, Ike Turner and John Lee Hooker and some other people actually stayed there. And it's still a place one can go and stay if you want to.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
So now we're leaving the Blues Highway and we're continuing through Louisiana. And here's an interesting fact. So the stretch of Highway 61 between New Orleans and Baton Rouge is called Airline Highway because when it opened, it basically cut down the trip between the two places from 120 miles, which wound around the Mississippi River, to 80 straight miles that you could drive in about less than 2 hours. So kind of straight like a runway.
Right.
So I guess that's where it got the name.
Yeah, because that road was finished before the actual airports. Ironically, the airports are very close to them, you know, in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, but the name of it actually predated that. And the other ironic fact, if you want to say that, was that, you know, Huey Long, the governor of Louisiana, who was the person who was instrumental in having this road set up, he was shot, and the road had not yet been completed. So The trauma surgeons were someone from New Orleans, but they could not reach him in time because they were driving along the old road, because the new one had not yet been finished and he had been shot in Baton Rouge.
Oh.
So if it had been done earlier,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of completes our tour of Highway 61. And if you'd like more information, one article you might want to look at on HowStuffWorks is how to play 12-bar blues.
And on that note, we'll see you next time for more cool stuff.
For more on this and thousands of other topics, visit HowStuffWorks.com and let us know what you think. Email travelpodcast@HowStuffWorks.com. Don't forget to check out our other podcasts, free on iTunes.